What up, though? Hola, mi gente. It's your host who neighborhood and the streets the most, J Hodge, in your hood, inyourhood.com. And today is another new segment of Hood Sites. So welcome to Hood Sites, and you already know what we're doing. Disrupting the information that you do not know, and plugging you and keeping you plugged in with the information that you may just know a little bit about, but we're going to give you more extensive knowledge on it. Now, like I always say, we are providing this information to people because we understand that people don't have the time to go out and seek information, and then there's people that choose to go out and not seek information, and everybody has different lifestyles, different duties and responsibilities day to day. So, like I said, seeing that I start my mornings off at 4:30 in the morning, I choose one pertinent reading per day for each news segment that I feel like is beneficial for the black community to know, and for the public to know, and for everybody to take the information that they receive and take it with them. Not just receive it, but use it and apply it. Now today is a little different. Usually I give an insider, and because of the nature of this news segment, I'm not going to give an insider today. But for the most part, you already know what to pay attention to. Like I've been telling everybody, inflation is very real. The prices are rising. The Fed is remaining solid in a position of not creating any new monetary policy, so not changing their minds on whether they're going to rise or keep the interest rates at 0 to 2%. But you still have people that's skeptical and now are putting protective measures in place of their of and for their money. And so whether you're a consumer and investor, like I always told you, and like I've been telling everybody for the last 2 weeks, be prepared, position yourself, and make sure that you know what's going on with your money, and make sure that you know what's affecting, what's going to impact your pockets. Investor or consumer, it doesn't matter. But today, this is a very unpublicized story that I've gotten a chance to research and I've gotten a chance to read, and it has not caught national attention, national news, but it needs to be widely known throughout the culture because we have a case today. And this is something that's still pending. It's still ongoing, but the effects is very ugly. It's very cruel. And it has to do with a well-known restaurant and a well-known franchise that a lot of black people spend their money at and with every week, every month, and every year. So this is a very, very sensitive and a very, very critical news segment today, because it has to give you a very, very real revelation of exactly what our cultural group faces and goes through and has to deal with on all levels. So today's news segment is titled Golden Corral Franchise Owner Sherrance Henderson Letter to U.S. Senate. It says Golden Corral franchisee Sherrance Henderson, the disabled single mom who lost more than $3 million when her Poughkeepsie, New York franchise was terminated after just 51 days, is not going away quietly. Here's the letter she sent today to the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. Continue. Sherrance Henderson claims to have been the only woman of color franchisee in the 600-store Golden Corral chain. She also has the distinction of having the shortest operating history in the chain's history. Golden Corral terminated her franchise agreement and ordered the restaurant closed only 51 days after it opened. With no restaurant revenue with which to repay her SBA loan of $3.7 million, TD Bank enacted default proceedings and foreclosed on Sherrance Henderson's $1.7 million home, which they sold for less than $1 million. It appears that the American taxpayer may be on the hook for as much as $2.8 million or more for the guarantee made to TD Bank through the SBA loan program, as well as the cost of food stamps, Medicaid, and other social services the once millionaires Henderson and her two autistic children are now eligible for. So it appears that Golden Corral Systems Inc., TD Bank, and the Golden Boy franchisee Niro Patel, who took ownership of the Poughkeepsie franchise location without paying Henderson a cent, made out like, say, bandits, leaving a disabled mother destitute and the American taxpayer potentially on the hook for millions. Well, Golden Corral Systems, Golden Corral CEO Lance Trinery, Senior VP of Franchising Erwin Roberts, VP Richard Chase, Niro Patel, and Brian Missenheimer, formerly with TD Bank, now VP of Cooperative Bank, haven't gotten away scot-free. Sherrance Henderson does not appear to be someone who is going away quietly. Here's the Sherrance Henderson Golden Corral letter sent today to the U.S. Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. And here's the letter in the entire wording and words of Sherrance Henderson. It says, Dear Committee on Banking and Urban Affairs, please give ear to my plea. I am desperate. I am in desperate need of your assistance. I have been taken advantage, illegally mistreated by both TD Bank and Golden Corral. I was simply set up by these two originations. I have been set up so Golden Corral and TD Bank could rob me easily. Now the American taxpayer will foot the bill. My Small Business Administration protected loan was only for the benefit for both TD and Golden Corral. However, I paid the premium of $10,000 during my loan application process. Golden Corral ordered me to use only TD for my business loan, and Golden Corral stated that I must apply for an SBA loan product. Golden Corral and TD furthermore supplied with numbers for my business plan, loan application, and pro forma, so the SBA loan would be a sure shot. I thought they were helping me. That was furthest away from the truth. They, Golden Corral, and TD Bank had a wicked plan to steal from me, to take every dime so I could not fight, but I would simply die and be buried alive with my two children. TD has a long of participating in many different windfalls types of illegal banking practices. Like the second largest Ponzi scheme in the world, TD was the money launderer. TD concealed the origins and protected Stanford Financial. Over $1 billion went through complex sequences to foster a pathway to Stanford Financial to steal money. No other bank accepted Stanford Financial, yet TD did. TD has countless lawsuits, from stealing pennies from a Coinstar counting machine to charging high interest rates to upselling banking products unbeknownst to TD's customers. It just shows that TD would steal pennies to billions. No amount is too small to steal. I am not the only one, and I am not the first, but yet TD keeps its banking license. Golden Corral has been practicing racketeering for many years. Within franchisee food business, other food franchises, call it churning. It's simply bringing in an unexperienced buyer of wealth, making them do all the hard legwork of building a store, acquiring a team of workers, and opening a business. Then the franchisor takes the business. They set it up to make it seem like the business owner does not know how to run the franchise. The franchisor sends in fake customers known as secret shoppers. These shoppers then places fake reports and false reports on leading consumer review websites like Yelp. These shoppers will do anything that has been requested. They will complain to managers at the store, support the false complaints with the franchisor, cause fights at the location, and much more. Whatever it takes to destroy the integrity of the store and its management. This is how the franchisor devalues the store and thus starts growing roots to take over the store for pennies on the dollar. This is just an example. Then the franchisee has another owner of another location to become involved with the unexperienced franchisee to be set up for a takeover. The franchisees uses a group approach. This is what they did to me. Sherrance Henderson, they own the only woman of color franchisee owner out of 600 plus stores. Please read below. Please help. Please do not ignore me and my family, because me and my family lives depends on your help, and the American taxpayer is depending on your help as well. I await your reply. Please feel free to call me. Best, Sherrance Henderson. End of article. And the end of the letter. And today the news segment was called, again, Golden Corral franchise owner Sherrance Henderson, letter to U.S. Senate. Now what we have today is a case of a black woman doing what she needs to do to creatively create wealth and riches for herself. Sherrance Henderson was actually a book writer, and she has a series of books that she's published with her own publishing company. And she decided to diversify her investments outside of her series of businesses, but her publishing company being the biggest, that got her to a millionaire status and got her to become a self-made millionaire. And she wanted to diversify her investment by taking her money and investing in another industry, another area. And she chose the restaurant business. And she specifically said she chose Golden Corral, and this fails us every time, because of their Christian values. She is of Christian faith, so she chose to go into business and take up a franchise with Golden Corral based on those principles. And she said it's a place that she consumes at, and it's very family friendly. So she had the expectation of being able to open up a Golden Corral franchise in her neighborhood of Newark, New Jersey. And she wanted to employ her community and give people job opportunities from a black-owned establishment, a black-owned Golden Corral. Now, what ended up happening, we just went through. But they denied her at every turn, and they made it difficult for her for a reason. When she went to meet with the vice president of the franchising department, they specifically said to her that she didn't look like somebody that was representative of their brand or their company or their franchisees. And they used very plain language, as she described it, and that they were very much so racist, but they would take her money. And so her motivation was to prove them wrong, not only because she's black, but because she's a woman too. So her motivation was to be successful, and the most successful as a black woman, as a franchiser, no matter where they put her. But her desire was Newark, and they didn't give her the Newark location because from the beginning, these white people wanted her to fail. And like they say, they call it churning. This is what happens. So with her being inexperienced in the restaurant industry, they took advantage of that, and they essentially pillaged her of her money, of her millions, of her fortune. Now, Golden Corral is a place that black people go often on Sundays for different events, for leisure reasons, or just because that may be some people's favorite restaurant. But now, you have to know what Golden Corral represents when you see a Golden Corral. Because Golden Corral took this woman for all her wealth. They robbed her, stole her money in a very business manner and business-like way. And they took illegal practices to make sure that she was left with nothing. And now today, with 2 autistic sons, that she became a millionaire for, because she wanted to be able to take care of their medical expenses. So she realized that she had to create businesses and that she had to have multiple streams of income to support her son's health conditions. But Golden Corral took advantage of that. And they essentially used that old-fashioned colonialism, and they demeaned, devalued, and degraded not only her as a human being, but also her money. Because what they also did was send in operatives to make sure that the complaints and that the errors were in place for her store to be taken from her, and thus the money she invested to not be reimbursed or returned, because the money invested was a sunken cost. And according to their contractual work, when you invest money into building a new franchise location, that money invested is money that will not be returned unless you pull out early. And you know, when you pull out a contractual agreement, you have to pay your way out. But she was so far deep into this investment, 51 days in, fastest in franchise history for Golden Corral, that she couldn't receive any money back. And whatever money that store generated, she never received. And from her own recollect, the opening of the store was successful. The opening of the Golden Corral was successful. People came through. But the people that was put in place of employment from within the Golden Corral network were essentially agents of Golden Corral. So this was a whole plot. It was a whole conspiracy to take the millions of dollars that she had to spend and to leave her with nothing. And now today, she's on government assistance programs, when just a month, 2-3 months ago from opening that store, a year ago from opening that Golden Corral, she was a millionaire. She was well. She was doing well. And looking to pursue and do more. When we talk about cultural identity, that's why she was targeted, because of her cultural identity. When we talk about the morals, values, and principles, Christianity has failed black people time and time again. Christianity was used for slavery. It's been used for oppression. And it was even used in this business to attract a woman, a black woman, only to prey on her novice experience in the restaurant industry and to prey on the wealth that she accumulated for her and her sons. When we talk about cultural challenges, issues, and constraints, racism, because this not only violated her civil rights, but her human rights. And so, when you spend your money, and when we spend our money, it cannot be with Golden Corral, because they represent that white supremacy. She came with everything she needed. She was more than qualified to have a franchise. She's successful in her own right, but because she was a black woman, and because she was, well, two things, because she was black and a woman, they figured they was going to pillage. They figured that they was going to deceive. And they figured they could manipulate the business deal to swindle her, steal from her, and become the utmost criminals in business that she have ever dealt with. And they've gotten into a habit of being able to get away with their criminalization and being criminals. She needs to be supported by the community. That's one. Two, no more Golden Corral. You know better, you do better. This is something that is not known. And Golden Corral has been very deceiving and very fraudulent with trying to hide this case and oppress its details in order to have more black folks continue to come and spend money with Golden Corral, when Golden Corral just robbed a black woman of all her savings, her life savings, of all her hard work, her life's hard work, of her riches and wealth, and of her business. And all of the businesses. Because that money is used to fuel all of her businesses. That money comes from all of her business investments. But you have to be aware and conscious and aware, and not think once, twice, three times, but 4 times before you, as a black man, woman, or even children, step inside a Golden Corral, knowing that this is what Golden Corral represents. So white supremacy, racism, deception, pillaging, criminalization, disrespect, and overall degradation of any black man, woman, or child. Because how they treated this black woman is a representation of how they feel and they view all their black customers and consumers. So this cannot be ignored. It cannot be neglected. Sherrance Henderson a disabled single mother who worked hard to become a millionaire from businesses that she started, that she was passionate about, had her own publishing company. She lost more than $3 million when she was forced to open up a Golden Corral franchise in a rural aspect of New York called Poughkeepsie, New York. Although she wanted Newark, New Jersey, so she could be around, like she said, people that looked like her, were familiar with her, and have a business owned by a black woman benefiting her culture in her area, in her cultural group. So again, cultural power is definitely being flexed in this case. This case is not over. And her cultural power will bring her to victory. Because, like I always say, your cultural identity is something to be proud of. There's no shame in your identity. Call it for what it is. Know who you are. From there, you look at your cultural morals, values, and principles. And she has her cultural moral values and principles is what's driving her to not quit in this case and not submit to her losses, and to fight for her monetary dues that's owed to her from this deceiving business deal in this fraudulent, criminal, racist company of Golden Corral. And from there, she will be able to come up with a cultural creative solution for more black franchisees, owners to come, not to have to be faced with this same prejudice and racism and thievery and deception. But also, this is the lesson when we talk about cultural sustainability, legacy, and advancement and progression. Do business within the culture, because this is a prime example of the deception that lies outside of the culture. A single mom, a multi-millionaire, loses everything in 51 days going into business with white people, with a white institution. And it's just the truth. It's cruel, it's unlawful, but it's not over. So with that being said, be conscious, be aware, be conscious. I'm personally would not show my face or put my dollars into a single Golden Corral ever again. So you have to have your cultural morals, your cultural values, and your cultural principles when you spend your money. Again, because how they treat one of us in our cultural group is how they would treat all of us. And that's plain and simple. Sherrance Henderson does have a GoFundMe. If you search Sherrance Henderson GoFundMe, her link will pop up. Her name is spelled Sherrance, and Henderson Henderson. Sherrance Henderson. Like I always say, go to the website www.inyourhood.com. Sign up for a free account. You can do it within seconds. We have our live television show and digital show, Where's Jay Hodge, The Journey in These Streets. It's 24/7, streaming live. Lectures, 24/7, streaming live on the website. A bunch of reading material and content from Black history to domestic Black news to global Black news to Black businesses that you've never heard of or seen. And we forever looking for more of all industry types. And social media in your hood. Instagram is at His Excellency _J.Hodge. And on YouTube, the In Your Hood YouTube can be found under the name J H-A-J-J, J Hodge. And of course, on Facebook, you can find us In Your Hood. If you're watching this, you can just follow the page automatically, stay updated with the latest and greatest news, features, and content. But like I said, www.inyourhood.com. Sign up for a free account. Be conscious and aware. Be aware and conscious. Pay attention to inflation, the Federal Reserve, the Federal Open Market Committee, and no more golden corral. Understand what they represent. And other than that, like I always say, I'm going to get on y'all tomorrow.